Alright, welcome to this webinar presentation. My name is Noah Merriby, and I will be personally leading the presentation for this webinar to show you how you can rewire your brain to achieve mental and financial freedom, or to achieve any goal you have in life, really. So that by the end of this webinar, you will have a tested blueprint that you can apply and use to unlock your brain's phenomenal power to control your life once and for all. First, I'm going to quickly introduce myself and give you some information about my background and why you should even take some time to listen to what I'm going to share with you. And after the quick introduction, I'm going to share with you some of the most common mistakes that I've seen my clients and students fall into when they're trying to set goals. We're also going to talk about the difference between goal setting and goal achievement, because there is a big difference. You can take a piece of paper right now and write down your goals. You want to be the future Elon Musk. You want to make $1 million. You want a better relationship, better health, a better life. That's the easy part. The hard part is achieving those goals. Making $1 million is not a walk in the park. Improving your productivity, your health, your relationships, your skill sets, even waking up on time sometimes is not a walk in the park. But you know this already, and we're going to talk more about this. We're also going to explore the science behind motivation. I'm going to show you the results of 5 years of research on thousands of people I worked with that helped me come up with a formula that most of you are not aware of right now. And finally, I'm going to show you how sometimes, even all the time, your brain can trick you into failing. Crazy, right? It's like you're shooting yourself in the foot. And see, I promise you this happens to each and every one of us, sometimes every single day, and we're not even aware of it. And you'll know exactly why when we get to it. And don't forget that at the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you an exclusive link where you can access a transcript of everything I'm going to show you today and more. You have to be watching live in order to get this, so stick around and I promise it will be worth your time. The webinar is going to be about an hour long, so make sure you book your schedule off for the next hour because if you really want to start noticing significant changes in your life, I have an experience for you. Now I know there are distractions all around us, but this strategy I'm about to share with you can change your life. I don't want you to miss on a single crucial step, so please make a commitment to stay focused. Can you do that for me? Can you do that for yourself? Close out Facebook, stop checking your email, put your cell phone away, and for the next 60 minutes, give me your full attention here, alright? Now, you're probably wondering why I'm even qualified to teach you this topic. So let me tell you a bit about my background here. I moved to Ottawa. It's the capital of Canada, if anybody doesn't know yet. And I was all alone in 2014, and I had to figure out my life. I was living with my parents before that, which means I barely knew how to cook and do my laundry, let alone finding a place to live, find a job, go to school. It was stressful. Now, by the end of 2014, I was a student at the Telfair School of Management, studying business at the University of Ottawa. While I was working on my digital marketing agency back then, I got a job at Foot Locker as a sales associate. And I bought a lot of shoes for some reason, even though I wasn't a big fan of shoes. Anyways, fast forward to the beginning of 2015. I had some money saved. I sold a dozen pair of shoes that I didn't even know why I bought in the first place. I quit my job and I put all that money into my digital marketing agency. See, I was excited, I was pumped, working 12 to 14 hours a day, trying to manage running a business full-time, being a student full-time, and dealing with life full-time. And I made some money. I worked with several clients, and it was an awesome experience. But soon enough, I ran out of money, and I was out of business. Now, mid-2015, I committed myself to reading, attending seminars, learning how businesses work, how life works, and how my brain works, so I can launch my company again and find the success I was looking for. But let me tell you, I wasn't really noticing any change in my life. I was still low on money, I still had no idea what to do, and I had no idea why I wasn't able to have the success I've been dreaming of. I tried almost everything. Everything I read, everything I learned in school, everything I learned through seminars and courses, but there was always something missing. And I remember really well when my brother came to visit me in August 2015. I had $4.2 in my bank account. $4.2. I even had to ask my brother for some money just so I can survive. It felt horrible. I'm a grown man who can't put his life together to the point where I'm asking my brother for money, and it was hard. When he gave me $500 that day to figure things out, I remember looking at him and saying, I promise, this is going to be the last time I put myself in such a situation. I said, I'm going to figure this out and I will pay you back. In 2016, I became a part-time student. I stopped everything in my life. No friends, no walks in the park, no sports, nothing. Even though it was a terrible idea, it was worth it. And I remember really well. It was on Valentine's Day, February 14th. All my friends are out on dates or trying to find a date, and I was going deep in my research. It was that day when I figured out the first personal transformation system that would set me on the right path towards my first goal, which is to pay my brother back. And by the end of 2016, not only did I pay my brother back and saw how proud he was, but I started teaching people those systems. And just like those systems changed my life, they changed other people's lives too. Now, I promise you, I had no idea back then that those systems will blow up. I had no idea back then how valuable those formulas and systems really are. So fast forward to 2020. Today, I'm an entrepreneur and a speaker. I participated in the World Championship of Public Speaking after being awarded the Competent Communicator recognition, where I won several speaking awards. I became a coach, a mentor, and a featured speaker during many seminars and meetings, which opened the door for me as an entrepreneur to work with several companies, small businesses, and even multi-million-dollar companies. Now, today, I'm an education professional in the field of personal development and transformation, and I taught more than 100,000 people from 156 different countries. I published 2 books, The Habits of Success and The Pursuit of Meaning. You can find them on Amazon or in chapters if you want, as well as more than 70 online training programs, which made me a best-selling digital author. And after helping thousands of people, I became a business coach and a development strategist, and I got featured in some of the top news sources in the world. I had the honor to be described as the next Tony Robbins. And let me tell you, being on the news doesn't come without the results and value to back it up, let alone be called the next Tony Robbins. I was mind blown. And sure enough, in a span of 2 years, I didn't just pay my brother back, but I was able to change my life drastically, to build a 6-figure business, to work with multi-million-dollar companies, to travel the world and really do everything I wanted to do. And that's me skydiving on the left. Despite the fact that I couldn't breathe for the first 20 seconds and I thought I was gonna die, it was worth the experience, and I would highly recommend it. But see, I'm not telling you this to brag. I didn't want to talk about myself at all, actually. I only did so to give you a reason to listen to what I'm going to share with you, and to show you that I'm not talking about something I read on a Feel Better blog this morning. I know my field better than anyone you can listen to or watch, and I let my results speak for me. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me at all. It's about the thousands of people that I helped so far and how they dramatically changed their lives in ways they never thought they could. So now that you know you're dealing with an expert in the field, you know that I'm about to share some mind-blowing information with you. And not only that, I will share with you some of my formulas that you can use today to fix some of the problems you might be facing. Now, I want to start off by turning your attention towards a study done by the Harvard Business School. They conducted the research on thousands of students related to goal setting, alright? Now, 84% of the students attending one of the top schools in the world reported that they didn't have any goals. They had no idea where they're going in life, let alone career goals, financial goals, health goals, relationship goals, the list goes on. Now, 13% of the students, they had some goals, but they never wrote them down. You know, the people who had a vague idea that they want to be doctors or entrepreneurs or engineers, they had the idea in mind, but it wasn't a set goal. They never wrote it down. And only 3% of the participants had clear and precise goals that they wrote down and reviewed almost every single day. And here's where it gets interesting. Years later, those researchers brought back the participants to gather some data and update the research, and they found that the 3% of participants who had clear and precise goals written down had accumulated more wealth than the 97% combined. Just imagine, if there was 1,000 participants, there's 970 people making, let's say, an average of $50,000 a year, and the other 30 people who had clear and precise goals and they wrote them down, who are making an average of $1.6 million each. Was it a coincidence? Of course not. If you reflect the results of this research on a global scale, you will also find that the majority of global wealth is owned by 2 to 3% of the population. And let me tell you, that did not happen by mistake. Those 2 to 3%, they had clear and precise goals. Maybe they were never planning on making that much money, but they were guided towards success through clear and precise step-by-step goals that got them from where they were to where they wanted to be. And I know what you're all thinking. So you're telling me that all I need to do is set goals and then I can live the life I want to live? Well, yes and no. Setting goals is easy. It's the easiest part, really. But a lot of people don't even know how to set proper goals to begin with. I had no idea how to set proper goals before. I read about this research in my first year of college, and I set goals for myself every New Year's, and then again every month, almost for years. But I was barely able to achieve some of them, and eventually I got frustrated and I stopped setting goals. I was thinking to myself, why set goals if I'm always going to fail at achieving them and end up feeling bad about it? See, there are some common mistakes here that we fall into when trying to set goals. And if we don't work on fixing those problems first, we will have a hard time setting successful goals. And the first major mistake is not having a vision. I want you to think about it right now. Do you have a vision for your life? If not for your life, do you have a vision that tells you where you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? Picture your life as this big roadmap, alright? The roadmap to be a doctor is different than the roadmap to be an entrepreneur and different from the roadmap to be an engineer. When we have a life vision, we have a roadmap for our lives that can help orient us and direct us on the different roads we have in front of us that can take us to achieve what we want to achieve. Now, let's say you have a life vision. Then congratulations, because 97% of people watching this right now don't really have a clear and precise life vision. And if you do have one, how clear and precise is your life vision? And what do I mean by that? It's one thing to say, I want to be an engineer. It's another thing to say, I want to be a software engineer. It's one thing to say, I want to be rich. And it's another thing to say, I want to be making $500,000 a year. It's one thing to say, I want to be a business owner. It's another thing to say, I want to own a media production agency. One is a lot more precise and clear than the other. When you want to be a business owner, you have a vague idea, a vague vision of what you want to be. But there are so many variables that can make you feel lost and uncertain. When you say you want to own a media production business, you're still a bit lost, but your sense of direction is a lot better. And you know exactly what you're aiming for. And when you know what you're aiming for, you can direct your energy towards it, towards that target until you hit a bullseye. And lastly, the last common mistake is that people think the process of goal setting is just you taking a piece of paper and writing down what you want to achieve, and then boom, 1 year later, you achieved it. No, it's not how it works. There's an entire science behind goal setting. The goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. There's strategies, tactics, a process, a plan, related habits, purpose, results, and action plans. And I'm not saying you need to figure all of those out right now, or you won't be able to set goals. What I'm saying is, if you want to set proper goals the same way that successful people set and achieve goals, you need to follow a protocol or a system that has proven to be effective. Otherwise, you will spend a long time trying to recreate the wheel and eventually get discouraged and drop it. So if you want to set goals the right way, if you want to set goals and actually achieve them, start by building a vision for your life. And here are some questions that you can ask yourself to start building your life vision. What do you want to change in your life? Where do you want to live and how do you want to live? How much money do you want to make a year? How do you want to better yourself? And what steps are you going to take? And also, what are some bucket list goals that you want to experience? Just like I went skydiving, for example. It didn't happen by mistake. It was a goal. It was part of my vision. And once you have a vision for your life, you need to refine it. Make it clear. Make it as clear as you can make it. Don't say I want to be financially independent. You need to be specific. Say I want to have $500,000 in savings by the time I retire. Or I want to make $100,000 a year in passive income. Don't say I want to move to New York. Say I want to live in New York in a 2-bedroom apartment downtown with a nice view and glass fronts. Be clear and precise. Refine your vision so that you can see your future clearly. The clearer the image of your future vision is, the better the goal setting process will be. Now, the next step is for you to break down that vision. Now, you know where you want to go in life. You have a roadmap, and for the first year, you want to set a location on that roadmap so you can start moving towards it. You want to set a target that aligns with your vision, that aligns with your roadmap. So what you do is you break down your vision into big yearly goals or milestones you want to achieve. And then you break down the big yearly goals into average-sized monthly goals. And then the average-sized monthly goals into small weekly goals. And then break those down into tiny, achievable daily goals that you can work on. And you might not reach your goals in 2 weeks, but if you use this system, you will reach them in 3 months or 6 months or a year, and that's 100 times better than setting goals every single year and dropping them 2 weeks in. So now that you understand some of the common mistakes and how you can overcome them, let's move to the next part. As we said before, setting goals is the easiest process. And now with some of the guidelines you heard, the process is even easier. The hard part is achieving those goals. The hard part is waking up every day and pushing yourself to work on the goals consistently until you achieve them. And when we set goals, we're just like this little puppy on the left. we're happy, we're ecstatic, we're excited, and then we start working on our goals. And 2 weeks in, we realize that we're still a bit far, and we start getting discouraged and end up like this little sad puppy on the right. We end up dropping our goals and settling for the life that was given to us instead of thriving to live the life that we want to create. And I cannot tell you how many times I explained to my clients the goal setting process in details, and they set their goals and they left the meeting with a big smile on their face, only to meet up with them a couple weeks later and they have those puppy eyes saying, I don't know what to do. And this happens to all of us. It happened to me countless times. And before I tell you why it happens, I want to turn your attention towards the official ditching day. Yes, on January 17th, almost 90% of the people who set New Year resolutions would end up dropping them and going on vacation mode, just like this little pup on the right over here. And this happens for two reasons. They either don't know how to properly set a life vision and then break down that vision into manageable goals, or they face obstacles or problems and they run out of motivation and they fail to achieve the goal. Now, I want you to take a second and try to think about the last time you had a goal and you ended up dropping it. Whether it's going to the gym or working on a side hustle or making more money, eat better or sleep better, whatever the goal is, try to remember what you were thinking of before you quit. You probably started hearing a voice in your head saying, I don't feel like it. It's too hard, it's too complicated, it's too tiring, or the most famous one of all, I'll just start on Monday. And see, all of this implies one thing. I don't have the motivation to do it, right? Wrong. When we fail to achieve our goals, we tend to think that the problem is our motivation. And even though it's part of the problem, lack of motivation is not the real problem. You know, it's one of my favorite questions. When my clients tell me that they can't seem to find any motivation to do something, I ask them, well, tell me, what is motivation for you? What is motivation for you? And of course, the answer starts with, and those passionate, driven people, just like yourself, saying that they are lacking motivation and then they don't even know what motivation is. And I can sum up all the answers I usually get with a short paragraph. That motivation is this magical power that we feel every now and then that moves us towards taking action and working on achieving our goals. See, but then I explain to them what motivation really is, and the ums and the ahs turns into ahs. In reality, motivation is not a magical power. It is a science and an equation. The problem is never with the lack of motivation itself. It's the components of motivation that we need to focus on. See, when we feel motivated, what's really happening in our system that sparks this motivation? Well, your brain has a chemical reaction followed by a stimulation of dopamine. And most people classify dopamine as a happy hormone, but it's not. Dopamine is your motivation hormone, and obviously, we often feel happy as a result of feeling motivated, so I can understand where the confusion happens. And I want to use this little metaphor here, alright? Motivation is the car you're going to use to move towards your goals. You have a roadmap, you have a GPS showing you where you are and where you want to be, showing you your goals. And when you're not motivated to do something, you often feel like it's taking forever because you're not driving there in a Corvette like I was in this photo on the left. You were barely walking towards it, maybe even crawling. Now let's say you set a goal and you kicked me out of the car. You got in and hit the gas pedal in full speed towards your goal. See, you feel motivated, you feel happy, the wind is refreshing, the sun is out, and then out of nowhere, the car starts making some weird noises, and before you know it, the car is not working anymore. Now you can get out of your car, get upset, and start kicking the wheels saying, "Work, you piece of schmucks." And you see, most people, when they run out of motivation, they get frustrated and they're like, "Why am I not feeling that motivation anymore? I was so motivated an hour ago. What the heck happened?" Now, after kicking your car for a while and your leg starts to hurt, you would call a mechanic and he would come, pop the hood open, figure out what's wrong, and fix the problem. Before you know it, you're back in the car, cruising down the highway to success. It's a sunny day, you're playing your favorite tunes, and life is great. Now, the brain is a bit more complicated than that. When I have my clients call me and tell me that they're not feeling motivated, I can't come up to them, open the top of their head, identify the problem, and fix it. And you see, I'm not telling you this to say that I have crazy, divine, motivational energy that never goes away. I lose my motivation sometimes, just like any other person. But unlike most people, I don't dwell on the problem and start freaking out as to why I lost the motivation. I would identify the problem, fix it, and as a result, my motivation gets restored. And that's exactly what happened with my clients and what can happen with you if you use the formula I'm about to share with you. One of the first and most impactful formulas, in my opinion, that I was able to develop is the CCSEM system. It's the motivation equation that I developed and refined over the years, and I can tell you that it is bulletproof, meaning that if you have all of those elements aligned, you will have sustainable levels of motivation that can help you work on your goals. And I'm not saying that you will never lose the motivation. You might feel unmotivated sometimes, but if you identify the source of the problem in one of those elements and then fix it, you will find your motivation falling back into place bit by bit. So let me tell you a bit about the CCSEM formula here. The first element is the consequences. It's knowing what you really want to achieve, having a vision and a mission. The consequences are the reasons that get you back up when you fall or when you face an obstacle or setback. Consequences linked to the need of self-actualization are the highest form of consequences we can set out. In other words, what is the reward you're going to get when you accomplish this goal? All right? The second element is certainty. The level of certainty as to whether or not you'll be able to achieve the goals you're set out to achieve. It's your mindset that we're talking about here. If you don't believe with an adequate level of certainty that you can achieve the goals, you will lose the motivation. It's one thing to know your consequences and know what you're aiming for and what you want to achieve. It's another thing to know whether or not you'll be able to achieve it. Even further, whether or not you think you can achieve it. And if you believe with absolute certainty that you can achieve the goal you're trying to achieve, then you will have stable motivation levels to move towards it. But when you face a challenge and you start doubting yourself, you start doubting whether or not you can achieve the goal, the moment you start doubting, your certainty levels drop, and as a consequence, your motivation levels would drop as well. And that's where your mindset steps in. Now, the third element is your skill sets, your skill level. Skill sets is one of the biggest elements of this formula that people never even notice. Our skill set level will determine how fast we will move towards the goal and how quickly we'll be able to overcome the obstacles we face. If you want to make more money, you want to start a business and start generating passive income, but you have no idea how to do it, you don't have the skill sets necessary to do it, you're going to feel discouraged at first until you learn at least the first step you need to take and acquire some basic skill sets. And only then will your skill set level align with your certainty level, which will align with your consequences or the reward you're seeking. Now, the fourth element is emotions. Emotions are also a crucial factor. See, motivation is not what moves us towards our goals. Your sense of motivation helps you set goals and would help you hype yourself up. It's your emotions that dictate whether or not you'll be moving towards your goals or away from them. Remember when you kicked me out of the car and then you hit the motivation gas pedal towards the ultimate transformation? Well, if you're not fueled by the right emotions, you will run out of gas. Now, if you run out of gas, your car won't work. And people often mistake this with a lack of motivation, but it's not. Your car is still functioning properly, but you don't have enough fuel to keep going. And the last element, which is momentum. The motivational center of the brain is usually activated by the stimulation of dopamine. And here's the thing. Dopamine is stimulated when there's an anticipation of a short-term or instant reward. And that's exactly why momentum is important. If you don't see your momentum building up and getting better and better as you progress, you will notice that your motivation levels are dropping as a result. So when your car isn't working, don't start stressing out. Don't get out of the car and start kicking it and yelling at it. Use the CCSME formula. Identify the problem and fix it. And my clients who might be watching this webinar right now out of curiosity know exactly what I'm talking about. The problem is usually with one of the elements, and if you fix the problem, you will find that your motivation levels will be restored automatically. So now that we got the basis of goal setting, goal achievement, and motivation, and before we carry on with the most interesting parts, and yes, it does get a lot more interesting, I want to tell you some things about your brain that you might not currently know. And I'm sure that it will blow your mind just like it did to me when I first came across the information. Alright, I was sitting with a bunch of my friends one Sunday evening when I heard a statement that would set me on this amazing journey. We were talking about the human brain in general, our thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and habits. And my friends Michael and Lucas were discussing how we don't always have that much control over ourselves. And I was thinking about the exact same thing, but I was also thinking about why we don't. I mean, it's our brain. How come we can't control a part of us? How come a part of us sometimes is setting us up to fail? And then Michael said the groundbreaking statement. He said, we can only use about 10% of our brain capacity, actually. Only 10%? Now, what about the other 90%? What's happening there? And that day, when I went back home, I sat in front of my computer for 13 hours straight, trying to find answers to some puzzling questions I had. And let me tell you, I was shocked. Our conscious brain processes information at around 120 bits of information a second. So on an average basis, this is our processing capacity. However, research have found that our processing capacity, as limited as it seems, can go up to 11 million bits of information a second. Just imagine. That's like the difference between winning $120 and winning $11 million. There's a big difference. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term state of flow, but in a nutshell, a state of flow is when our conscious brain and subconscious brain are working in absolute coherence and harmony. And you feel like you're tapping into some incredible cognitive resources. You feel the information getting poured at you, the pieces of the puzzle are connecting so rapidly, and everything is flowing so effortlessly. And that's when you're in a state of flow, and you're usually processing information at around 100 million bits of information a second. Just imagine you have any problem you've been trying to solve for a while, whether it's financial freedom, better health, better relationships, whatever it is. Imagine that instead of processing information and solutions at 120 bits of information a second, you jump up to 11 million bits of information a second. You're processing information 100,000 times faster every second. Just imagine the amount of solutions you can find. And see, the statement that Michael said that we only use 10% of our brain capacity is not entirely wrong. 99.9% of the times, we have access to a limited capacity of our cognitive power. But when we get into a state of flow and achieve that conscious and subconscious coherence, we expand our cognitive and processing capacity in ways that you can't even imagine right now. The problem is not that. The problem is that achieving a state of flow is not a walk in the park, and I'll tell you why. When we talk about our thought processing, there's a study done by the National Science Foundation that indicated that an average person has about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. And of those, 80% are negative and 95% are repetitive. Just let that sink in for a second. 80% of our thoughts are negative and 95% are repetitive. And wait, there's more. Talking about our thought systems, Bruce Lipton in his book, The Biology of Belief, talked about an idea that adults are acting from their subconscious mind almost 95% of the time. The other 5% of the time, our conscious mind is helping us navigate through our day. So try to guess where most of your limiting beliefs and negative thoughts are coming from. They're coming from your subconscious brain. Now, a lot of you might have this weird look just like the baby up there on the left, and you're asking, how is that even possible? See, the subconscious brain is the habit brain. It helps you regulate your habits without putting any conscious effort into it. It ensures your survival. That's why whenever we want to try to do something new, we feel discomfort. It regulates your belief systems, your automatic thought patterns. It's the most powerful part of your body. And your subconscious brain also deals with regulating every tiny aspect of your body. We're talking about your entire physiological system here. It keeps your body temperature stable, your heart beating, your breath flowing, etc. It is also the source of all your emotions. It reacts for you when you face a certain situation. So let me give you some examples here. Do you remember that time when every inch of your body knew that you had to be working on something important, but then you decided to drop it and go do something else? Yes, that was your subconscious brain controlling you. I'll give you another example. In a study done on lottery winners, researchers found that lottery winners are more likely to declare bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years. But how is that even possible? If I was to give you $10 million right now, do you think that you might lose all of that money within 3 to 5 years? And right now, most of you are probably thinking that there is no way you could lose all that money in 3 to 5 years. However, your subconscious brain thinks otherwise. If you were conditioned to believe that in order for you to live an abundant life, you don't need more than $4,000 a month, your subconscious brain will guide you and steer you in a way to earn $4,000 a month, and that's it. Even if you make more than that, your subconscious brain will steer you and guide you towards spending whatever extra income you got to go back to $4,000 a month. So let's say you have a goal. Now, if you have a goal where you want to make $200,000 in 1 year, the only thing standing between the goal setting process and the goal achievement is simply your subconscious brain. If your computer is programmed to operate on a level where you can make only $50,000 a year, it will be impossible to try and make $200,000 a year. Your subconscious brain will create obstacles, doubts, negative thoughts, and detrimental behaviors to make sure that you don't exceed that $50,000. And if you got above $50,000, your subconscious brain will sabotage you and get you thinking in ways to get rid of the excessive money you accumulated. And why? Because your subconscious brain is your habit brain, and it's very hard to try and break a habit. Your subconscious brain will fight for its survival. Whenever you set a goal that seems out of reach when it comes to your processing capacity and subconscious habits, you will not be functioning properly. That's exactly why most people, maybe some of you listening right now, would start working harder and longer hours. You spend years working at a job or on a business, and no matter how hard you worked, your financial status doesn't really change that much. You always tend to go back to the baseline that your subconscious brain is used to. And if you want to use your brain capacity to its fullest, you need to make sure that your subconscious brain is working with you and not against you. But how can you do it? I'm going to start by telling you 3 simple steps. The first step is for you to develop the awareness level that you need to know exactly and specifically what kind of thoughts, beliefs, habits, or emotions are controlling your life and how they might be creating a conflict between your conscious goals and your subconscious programming. And once you do, you want to identify the root of the problem, the core of the motivational structure that drives those thoughts. When we know what it is exactly that's creating this inner conflict, and we know what the root of the problem is, we can move into the last step, which is rewiring the subconscious brain so that it aligns with who you want to be and not who you used to be. And yes, you can rewire your subconscious brain. That's where the concept of neuroplasticity steps in. There's a short video that's going to play now any second that's going to explain to you more about the concept of neuroplasticity. Hello guys, my name is Noah Merriby, and in this video, we're going to talk about what neuroplasticity is and how you can use it. The fundamental idea that you need to keep in mind when thinking about neuroplasticity is the following. Neurons that fire together wire together. Scientists believed for the longest time that our brain doesn't change and that once we hit a certain point in adulthood, our brain would stop developing. But a scientific breakthrough in neurology brought up this amazing concept called neuroplasticity. And scientists found that the brain actually never stops developing and it is constantly changing on a physical and chemical level. So the brain is made out of billions and billions of neural structures all interconnected together and that guide us through our everyday lives. So when we face a situation and we react in a certain way over and over again, this will eventually create a neural structure. So at one point, every single time we face this situation, the neural structure is automatically activated and we react in the exact same way we are used to react. So neuroplasticity explores this side of our brain that is plastic, our side of our brain that is actually changeable, that you can change physically and chemically. And the thing is, even if you already formed a neural structure, you can always change it or break it. So picture the brain as a map. All the neural structures that are formed through our lives, every thought, action, emotion, and behavior we went through made this map of neural structures that is now in our head. And the thing is, we can either follow this map or we can change this map. Every time we do the same action or we have the same thought, we are reinforcing this neural structure. We are reinforcing this pathway in our brain. But when we start acting or reacting differently, we start creating a new pathway. And if we keep repeating the process, this new pathway will become the new dominant pathway that predicates our action, thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. And the old pathway will be used less and less and less until the neural structure breaks. And this brings us to another main neuroplasticity concept, which is use it or lose it. If you use the pathway over and over and over again, you're going to make it wire. Neurons that fire together, wire together. But if you don't use it, you will lose it. This neural structure, this pathway will break.
And your thought patterns, behaviors, and emotions will start being predicated based on the new pathway, the new neural structure. And this process is called the brain rewiring, and we all have the ability to rewire our brain, but it just takes a little bit of focused action, repetition, and consistency. Think about a bad habit that you had at one point in time that you changed into a good habit. This is you rewiring your brain. Think about a bad behavior that you did over and over and over again that eventually became a habit. This is you also rewiring your brain. This is you creating a new neural structure, a new pathway per se. So with consistent, repetitive, and focused action, you can rewire your brain. You can change your thoughts, your thought patterns, your behaviors, your habits, your emotions, your emotional stability and control. You can rewire everything. Your brain is plastic. You can actually change its physical and chemical form if you use the principles of neuroplasticity properly. And all it takes is repetitive action towards you breaking the old neural structure that you had and forming a new neural structure. Stop using the old pathway that you are using over and over and over again and use a new pathway that will become a new neural structure that predicates your actions, thoughts, and behaviors. So to sum it up, you gotta keep two principles in mind. First, neurons that fire together will wire together. And the second principle, use it or lose it.
So now you know some basic information about neuroplasticity and the plastic brain. Neurons that fire together wire together, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So what do we mean by the term neuroplasticity? Well, neuroplasticity gives you the ability to rewire your brain so you can achieve internal and external breakthroughs in different areas in your life. It is your ability to rewire every thought, every memory, every behavior, and every emotion that might be influencing you in a negative way. Now, if you go online and look at most blogs, most online courses, and most YouTube videos, they claim to know how you can rewire your brain, and they will tell you to try the following. They will say, use affirmations. Keep saying to yourself, I'm rich, I'm wealthy, I'm a millionaire, and just wait. Your subconscious brain will get rewired and you will become rich. Now sure, affirmations can be very powerful. But if you say to yourself, I'm a millionaire for 2 decades, I promise you, your subconscious brain won't believe it, your conscious brain won't believe it, and you won't be a millionaire. Because the subconscious brain speaks the language of emotions and communicates through images and not words. Which brings us to visualization. And again, also, visualization is a very powerful process. But if you sit on your couch and start to visualize the car you want, or the life you want to live, or you visualize your bank account with millions of dollars in it, you can do this for 2 decades, and I promise you, your subconscious brain won't believe it, your conscious brain won't believe it, and your life won't change. And another thing that a lot of people suggest is to write it down. All right? And we already talked about the difference between goal setting and goal achievement. You can write down your goals, write down all you want in great details, and read it every single day if you want. And I can tell you, it will not have an impact on your life unless you take the right action to create that impact. And that's exactly why there's a difference between goal setting and goal achievement. But by now, you have probably tried one of those methods, if not all, and you know they're not as effective as people claim them to be sometimes. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave you at that though. I'm going to tell you what actually works, what worked for me and what worked for thousands of people that I worked with in the past 4 years. So there are 10 steps to rewire your subconscious brain effectively. First off, you want to raise your awareness. As we said previously, you need to be aware of the thoughts, beliefs, habits, or emotions that are controlling your life. What kind of thoughts, beliefs, habits, or emotions are creating conflict between your conscious goals and your subconscious programming? And the next step is for you to set proper goals to create that transformation, to create that impact and to rewire your brain. You do so by first having a life vision that you can visualize clearly and precisely. Remember, the subconscious brain communicates through images. When you have a vision of your future reality, you start sending that message to your subconscious brain that listen up, buddy. We gotta change up some things, alright? Here's a list of things I wanna change, and let's do it. But as we said before, visualization is not enough. You need to stabilize your motivation levels to keep pursuing those goals and hold on to the image of your future reality no matter the circumstances. The old thought patterns and the old beliefs, when you have stable levels of motivations, your subconscious brain would start getting rewired into that motivated state because again, your subconscious brain is the habit brain, and you can do so by referring to the CCSME formula we talked about. Next, you need to regulate and control your emotions. It's what people refer to as emotional intelligence. When you start using the concept of emotional intensity, you can start intensifying the emotions that empower you and weaken the intensity of the other emotions that don't serve you. And with repetition, your subconscious brain would start switching the emotional reactive habits to emotions that work with you and not against you. And lastly, building effective momentum is also a crucial factor when it comes to rewiring the subconscious brain. When you break down the rewiring process into smaller steps, small short-term rewards, this can fuel your mindset, your emotions, and motivation and set you on the right track to rewire your brain. And those are the 5 basic elements you need to use when you want to rewire your brain, but that's not all. There's 5 more elements I also want to talk about here. The first one is regulating your habits. There is a mind-body connection factor that is crucial. You need to condition your habits properly. If you look at all the wealthy people in the world, they might be different in different industries, they do different stuff, they behave differently, but they have stuff in common. They have common habits. They work out consistently. Some of them meditate often. They read books. There are habits. And if your habits contradict your conscious goals, you will have a problem. And the second one is effective productivity. You need to be productive where it counts. We're aiming for effective work, which can put you in the state of flow. Now, the third one, and the most powerful one really, is using NLP methods. NLP, also known as neuro-linguistic programming. It's a set of revolutionary methods to regulate your belief, thoughts, habits, and emotions and rewire your brain. The fourth one is building your mindset. Your mindset doesn't change in one day, and it doesn't change by just using affirmations. You need to assemble the building blocks that you need to build that mindset. And lastly, the fifth element is for you to access a state of flow and creation. If you want to create a change in your life, you need to be in a state of flow and creation. The majority of people are constantly in a state of stress, which pushes the subconscious brain to hang on to the old belief systems. And if you combine all of those elements together, I can assure you that you will be able to rewire your brain to success and achieve that breakthrough you've been waiting for. Which brings us to the end of the presentation. And as I said, if you apply everything we talked about, I promise you, you will have a breakthrough after breakthrough. You will start transforming your life in ways you never thought you could. And you can create a lasting impact for yourself and for your loved ones. The systems we talked about are not based on wishful thinking. They're proven methods used by thousands of people, methods that I used to take myself from a life where I was asking my brother for some money so I can buy my next meal to a life where I can take my brother out to dinner wherever he wants, whenever he wants. So you're at a point now where you can do it all alone. You can take the information and leave, and then with enough research, enough repetition, enough trial and error, you will be able to assimilate a system that can help you achieve your ultimate transformation. On the other hand, you can take the information and take me with you. You can skip the hassle and the struggle to go through all the information and try to glue the pieces together and get the help of an expert who's helped thousands of people just like you. And let me tell you what it means to work with an expert. I want to welcome you to the Ultimate Transformation Masterclass 5.0. It's an event that I personally host once a year. I did the first event 4 years ago with the Ultimate Transformation Masterclass 1.0, and I did it again every year, and this is our 5th year anniversary here. And I'm not going to talk much about it. I will let some of the people who went through the event to tell you a bit more about it here. So let's watch the videos.
Noah, I just want to thank you for the Ultimate Transformation Masterclass event. It really changed my life in ways I never thought it could. And I would just want to thank you for the opportunity, and we'll chat soon.
Listen, ultimate transformation is real, alright? And this masterclass is proof of it. If you want to witness, metamorphosis, then by all means register to this masterclass because it is going to change your life. I know Noah, and I've worked with him before. And I can tell you one thing. He will change your life.
So those are some people that went through the Ultimate Transformation Masterclass event. And in a nutshell, I can share more stuff with you. I can show you more testimonials. At the end of the day, wherever you are in life, if you want to transform your life from what it is right now to where you want it to be, this event is a perfect fit for you. Just imagine that you will acquire the tools, knowledge, and help you need to achieve your wildest dreams. What would you achieve? What kind of life would you live? How much impact can you have on your life and the life of your loved ones? Just imagine for a second. Now, let me break it down for you a bit here. The event is a 6-week online training program that is literally off the charts effective. I will be personally leading the training program for 6 full weeks, guiding you every step of the way to massive success. In the first week, you're going to learn proven methods to change your habits effectively and take control of your life. There's going to be 25 video lectures that go for about 6 to 8 hours. In the next week, we're going to explore the art of effective goal setting and goal achievement. I will help you set a successful life vision, specific goals, and a massive action plan to achieve those goals. And the second module is made out of 18 video lectures, and it goes for about 4 to 6 hours. In week number 3, we're going to explore how to apply the motivation formula and learn how you can maintain, restore, and fix your sense of motivation. We will also learn the methods of effective emotional control and empowerment to fast-track your progress towards success and rewire your subconscious brain. And this module includes about 29 video lectures, and it goes for 10 to 12 hours. In week number 4, now that you have a solid foundation to build upon, we will start going into the effective systems of neuroplasticity and neuro-linguistic programming that can help you rewire your brain and control your beliefs, habits, memories, and emotions. And it will include 29 video lectures, and it will also go for about 10 to 12 hours. In week number 5, we will dive into how to increase your focus and concentration so you can get a lot more done in less time, as well as time management and productivity formulas used by some of the top leaders in the world. And this module would include 22 video lectures, and it will go for about 6 to 8 hours. And lastly, in week 6, now that we have all the elements aligned, you're going to learn how to tap into the powerful state of creation, also known as the state of flow, and access your ultimate brain capacity. The module includes 19 video lectures and goes for about 4 to 6 hours. The way it goes is that you will have access to our training program hosted on the Teachable platform with your own ID and password to log into your accounts. The lessons will include on-demand videos, articles, and application exercises that you can use every day to make sure that by the end of the 6-week program, you are set. And every Monday for 6 weeks, there will be new modules available for you on the website, and you will receive an email when the new module is up and running. And for those of you watching this particular webinar, it gets even better. The event isn't live yet. We will go live on June 1st. And today, you have a big opportunity that you can take advantage of. If you are interested in getting an early access to the Ultimate Transformation Masterclass event, you will get some bonuses and perks that others who sign up later won't have access to. First, you will have access to a 1-hour live group coaching session per week for 6 weeks to answer some questions and guide you better through the training process. Second, you will have access to 2 1-hour individual coaching sessions, one at the beginning of the training program and one at the end of it, so we can dive into personal questions, individual concerns, and individual progress. And of course, I will be hosting all the training sessions myself. And lastly, you'll receive 6 ebooks and 4 action books that will summarize the information and help you track your progress. Now, those bonuses are only for people who join the early access to the Ultimate Transformation event today. And to summarize what you get is that you get full access to the training program, almost 31.5 hours of on-demand videos, 22 articles, 195 lectures valued at $1,917. You also get the coaching sessions as bonuses, the weekly group coaching sessions and the individual coaching sessions with monthly informational updates valued at $2,294. And lastly, you get your supplemental resources with the ebooks, the action books, organizers, behavior application program, and cognitive application program valued at $439. The official price release is $1,297. That's the normal ticket price to the event. Now, if you're interested in an early access to the event today, I'm not going to charge you $1,297. I'm only going to charge you $497 today. And that includes the full-time access to the program plus the perks and bonuses we talked about. Now, even though I'm 100% positive that if you do even half as well as the rest of the people who went through the program, that this would be the best investment you ever made, some of you might have concerns and you're wondering, what if you join today and you don't end up liking the program? Well, there's no problem at all. We have a 7-day money-back guarantee policy. So if you go through the first 7 days of the program and don't think it's one of the best programs you ever joined, you will get all your money back, no questions asked. And you get to keep the ebooks, the action books, and organizers that you will be receiving for free upon signing up today. So you're really not taking a risk at all, but you're taking an opportunity. And if you don't have any questions or concerns, make sure to act quickly for 3 simple reasons. First off, there are limited seats to the early access. I am conducting the training sessions personally, and you can imagine that it's hard to train more than 15 to 20 people a week. I don't have the time nor the energy to coach more than that on a weekly basis. Second, the price will change according to a priority sequence. First come, first serve. I want to be fair with all of you. And third, the early access to the training program might close any second once I give you the link. As soon as the first 15 to 20 seats are filled, the program will no longer be available for early access. So please don't email me afterwards asking me to make an exception. Even if you're willing to pay more, I cannot physically coach more than 15 to 20 people a week. please. I've had people email me in the past and I just can't do it. So that being said, I am beyond excited to share with you every bit of knowledge and information I developed, acquired, and taught. This is a journey that can and will change your life if you decide to take the first step. Remember that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one single step. And today, you have the opportunity, with no risk at all, to change your life once and for all, to achieve the ultimate transformation, and to make a lasting impact on your life and the life of your loved ones. Right now, you have this opportunity in front of you. And the question is, are you ready to live the life that you deserve? Are you ready to take that first step? And if the answer is yes, then you know exactly what to do. Here is a link that you can use to buy your early access ticket now, noahmerriby.com/events, or you can just go on my website, and some of you might even be watching this webinar on my website. Just click on events in the top menu and scroll down to get your ticket to the early access to the Ultimate Transformation Masterclass 5.0, and I'll see you all there. If you have any questions or concerns, make sure to email me quickly and let's talk about it, because the seats get filled up pretty quickly. So email me right now and let's talk about it. And again, I'll see you all in the Ultimate Transformation Masterclass. I wish you all a beautiful day and a successful life. That was your host, Noah Merriby, here, saying it's been an honor and a pleasure to share that information with you. Have an awesome day.